Hello and welcome. In today's exciting episode, I will be working out my Make 9 plans and my other sewing plans for 2023.
It's perfect. Perfect jacket.
So if you've been watching this channel for a while, you will know that in December I did Vlogmas, and halfway through Vlogmas I just randomly decided that I should do a Make 9 for Vlogmas, like in the second half of December. And unsurprisingly, I didn't actually finish my 9 patterns, and I still actually have some Christmas print fabrics. So yeah, I guess I failed my Make 9 challenge for 2022, but these are the patterns that I didn't get around to. But I sort of Googled Make 9 and yeah, just to check what the actual rules were. And it turns out, yeah, because I didn't make them because I got distracted and made a bunch of other stuff, well, half made, really. And it's all very adorable. So anyway, I got to the Make 9 challenge. It started in 2019, and I only started my channel about a year ago. So yeah, this is the first time I did it. And yeah, apparently there's only really one rule, and it's that you can never fail. The point is to sort of give yourself goals so that you can allow yourself to move forward in you know, and to make stuff with intention. And yeah, also ironically, it's about sort of being anti-fast fashion. So instead of making a million different things, you should focus on 9 really, really well-made garments, and they can be the things that you create each year. So I do agree with that philosophy. There'll be a link to this website down below, and I'll also go through the 9 questions to consider when you're going to make your own, set your own Make 9 guidelines for yourself. But yeah, so I also watched a couple of YouTube videos, and basically some people choose 9 sewing patterns, or some people choose 9 fabrics and that they have to use that year. And yeah, so I did go through all my patterns, and yeah, I basically only bought them because I really want to make them. So it was a bit difficult, but I did get 2 or 3 dozen that I really, really want to make. And yeah, so I've put them in a shoebox because at the moment I've got 2 storage containers full of commercial patterns. And yeah, so obviously that's the next one I want to do. And these are a couple of the Make 9s. Oh, by the way, your Make 9s lasts an entire year, not just a month. So technically I haven't failed on my 2022 one yet anyway. But yeah, so I think what I want to do is try and use up as much fabric as possible from my fabric stash. Because yeah, and I love these. So I've sorted my patterns into different categories. So these are all contemporary pull-on dresses, so you don't have to zip yourself into them. They're really loose fitting. And why I like these is because you can just wear like a billion layers. You can wear like a really loud pattern dress, but to calm it down, you can wear like a navy blue smock or a black dress over the top, and yoga pants and a top underneath as well. And that way, yeah, you can wear like a billion layers. So I really like them. Plus, I like slouchy clothes. And yeah, obviously, I've got a whole rack of them here. So yeah, I think I just bought a bunch of different patterns. And there's this one here, because people keep asking me how they're like, just give me one pattern that I can copy your ruby dress out of. So I've got that one, and it's kind of like the ruby dresses I've been making. So I think I'll make this one off camera, and if it works, then I'll do a sew along for it. And then every time someone asks for just one simple pattern, I'll point them to this one. There's also a bunch of vintage patterns that I want to try out, all the different brands. And yeah, that jumper dress is so gorgeous. And a couple of them are pullover ones. And that one there is an apron dress, or it's sort of a wraparound one. And a couple of them are two-piece. So they're technically not a one-piece dress. They're two-piece. But they're all, vintage. And some of them are really chic. So you could make it with a fancy fabric and it would be a cocktail dress. And some of them are, just day wear sort of things. So yeah, I really want, there's loads of them, like dozens and dozens. But I kind of want to, I think if I just have a shoebox of patterns right near where right in my sewing area, then I can just flick through them. Because taking out these storage boxes with all the patterns in them is quite taxing, and it's something that you sort of have to move space aside for the boxes and then open them and then go through them because they're quite deep. They're a bit too deep to hold patterns. So maybe I should find a better way of storing them. But anyway, so I just think if I have a little box of 2 or 3 dozen patterns that I can flick through, then I won't be so overwhelmed by it because they're all really, really good patterns. So every time I go through it, there's not a dud in there. So yeah, maybe it'll make it harder, but hopefully it'll make it easier. There's also a wraparound dress in there. I know, I know that as a sewing channel to grow, you're supposed to use, try and do as many sewing challenges as you can. But I just think I'd look hideous in a wraparound dress. So I haven't got the actual the walk away dress, but I've got other similar ones. So yeah, as well as all the Vogue vintage ones, I've got a couple of contemporary patterns. To be honest, the lines of them are pretty classic. So you can sort of tell what decade they were inspired by. I also have some coats and capes. I don't think I'll actually make any of them because I think for this year I want to focus on using up my fabric stash of fashion fabrics. So all the cottons, the rayons and the synthetic crepes for the dresses from the 20s and 30s and 40s. But I really love the lines of these jackets. So I just put them in there because I think I'll want to get them out and look at them. And I really do want to make a cape, but they just take up so much room. So, and, obviously you have to buy really expensive fabric to make coats. And also, I don't live somewhere really cold. So I just feel like having one big black coat is enough for me. But on the other hand, I really want to make them. So, these are a couple more vintage style patterns. These are contemporary photos and they're issued as contemporary patterns, but to me they just look like reissues of a 60s and a 50s dress. But and I also have a bunch of jacket patterns. This one on the left, that red one, is really clean and clear. So I thought it would make a good base for my faux flower jackets. And the other one would be a really good base to make a Dior bar jacket because it's got the right lines. I just have to redraft it a little. And then also I want to make some shirts, but also I want to make some more ruby dresses, but with different sleeves because I do love the standard sleeve that I've been making them with. But there's so many cute puffy sleeves in the world. They're just adorable. So yeah, and I really like the ones that are puffy at the top and then slimlined for the bottom half of the sleeve. I think I'd just do the top half of the sleeve because I like being able to wear layers and layers underneath. And then this is just a different type of shirt. It's kind of more really baggy, like a maternity shirt, I guess, but not for me. It's just baggy. But so I've put them all in a shoebox and I can just sort of flick through them at the start of each month and go, okay, I'll definitely make these 2 or 3. Plus I'll, if I have any spare weekend time, I'll make something else as well. But so they're just such beautiful patterns. I hope they look as good as they're. I sort of fall in love with the illustrations, and yeah. And as I said, I kind of want to just use up as many fabrics as possible. So each month I'll do one or two new patterns, and then if I find a pattern that I absolutely love, then I'll go through the fabric stash and pull out a bunch of other fabrics. And yeah, so I'm quite happy to, I mean, obviously I've got like 80 or 100 jackets that are essentially the same but in different colors. So yeah, I think I'll do the same. If I hit a vintage dress or any dress pattern that I really, really love, then yeah, I'll just, okay, I want this in this fabric, this fabric, this fabric. So yeah, I'll do that and churn through them that way. Well, not churn, but yeah, methodically use up all my stash is what I mean. So as I mentioned earlier, the original Make 9 challenge came from Home of Row. And here is the list of questions that you should ask yourself. Again, they're in the description box below. So what do you want or need? For me, because of the pandemic, I've basically been living in black yoga pants and black tops and hoodies. And yeah, so I really need a whole wardrobe full of dresses. So like 100 or 200 dresses and shirts and skirts. And yeah, that would be good. And yeah, so I basically need to fill my wardrobe because I've taken all the jackets out and I now store them. The jackets have their own storage space. So yeah, for me, I just need a whole wardrobe, and I prefer vintage garments that look handmade. And yeah, so nothing fast fashiony, just woven fabrics, mostly natural fabrics, except if they're 1930s or 40s, then I can use a couple of synthetic fabrics. But yeah, and two, what did you learn from last year's successes or failures? Just be me. People are gonna say toxic things regardless. So kind of just try not to let that all the terrible things that people say impact me, and just yeah, do stuff that makes me happy, because yeah, I don't think you can do anything else. And also, I really don't like any fast fashion elements, so don't feel pressured to use bias binding. Don't use a facing. Do a full lining for everything that I'm making. Just yeah, I'm not going to feel pressured to do any, put your zips in with a machine, or do machine buttonholes. Oh, question 3 is about values. So obviously that's what I meant. For what's in your laundry basket now, the only clothes I machine wash are the ones I have absolutely zero interest in making, like activewear, underwear, socks. So yeah, it's not really relevant to me. 5, what types of things do you really love making? Really embellished jackets, Chanel style jackets, but I also kind of need to make some dresses just to fill out my wardrobe. Are you a seasonal maker? Nope. I wear the same things all year round. I just add layers or subtract a few layers. 7, your time is limited. This is a very good point. I have a million things that I want to get done, but I do have to prioritize. So I'll divide them into 3, and yeah, I'll explain them when I show you my Make 9. 8, do you want a stash bus? Yes, absolutely. I know a lot of people love having a massive display of fabrics that they've bought, but it bothers me that it's all sitting there unfinished when I have a whole wardrobe that is, waiting to be filled with dresses. So yeah, I would much prefer to just stop buying stuff and stop focusing on, looking for new beautiful fabrics, and just work through what I have. It would make me so much happier if that space was empty and my wardrobe was crammed full. And 9, is there a completely new to you type of project that you want to explore? I'd rather just get through all the stuff that I've bought and finish all the dozens of things that I've half made and then start fresh in 2024. That would be pleasing to me and, yeah, alleviate stress and free up a lot of space. So this is my make 9. There's sort of more guidelines than a list of 9 things. 1, really try to use up all my fabric stash. 2, keep going through and trying new sewing patterns. My goal is that it stresses me out and makes me uncomfortable trying new patterns, but I absolutely love it when I have like a bunch of patterns that are my go-tos. So yeah, I think I'll be uncomfortable and push myself out of the comfort zone for this year so that next year I can just, make the same things over and over, but maybe with much more complicated textiles. So if I find a really beautiful vintage pattern, that it's not just that it's got to have a beautiful silhouette, it's got to be that I would feel comfortable wearing it, because sometimes you go to events and they last for 6 to 8 hours by the time you leave the house and get there, and if you have to go to an after party or something. So I want, even if it is incredibly beautiful, I still want it to be practical and wearable for long slabs of time. So yeah, number 2 is keep trying new patterns, because I've got to find those ones that I can use as a canvas for my embellishment work. 3, try to finish all unfinished jackets. Yeah, I've got a couple of Chanel tweeds and other tweeds that are half done. And yeah, I don't mind if the jacket is completely done, but it's not beaded. But yeah, it bothers me that I still have some unfinished jackets. It's not the thread that I have before buying more. That's kind of obvious. I just have a whole drawer full of, ones that I really need to use up before I buy any more. 5, this is about my time priorities. So first of all, I want to use up all my fabric stash by the end of this year. 2, I would love to use up all my fabric flower stash, but obviously I can't do both of those, and I also can't use up all my tweeds. So I will try and focus on using up all my fabric stash. I'll make a few flower jackets, and I will also methodically go through and do at least 1 or 2 tweeds jackets, turn them into Chanel style jackets each month. 6 is more about my channel than my sewing practice. So yeah, I just sort of try different types of episodes. So sewing vlogs, as well as talking about fashion and designers that influence me and why I sew the way I do, or what I'm thinking about patterns, how I approach color blocking or pattern clashing, that sort of thing. 7, do pattern reviews. Sew-alongs and sewing vlogs are really informative in their own ways, but I do think doing standalone episodes where I review a particular pattern after I've done it a few times and worn it and really thought about what is good and what is bad about the pattern, I think there's a lot of value in that. I really like watching them, and I think, so I think I'll do a few of those as well. 8, don't be too self-critical, just have fun. I am very, very critical of myself. I mean, I get a lot of toxic comments where people just say random things that mostly aren't related to sewing. But I too am very self-critical. So I think I've put it there so that each time I look at this, I'm like, be less serious, just have fun. So yeah, I do need to remind myself of that, because 9, avoid fast fashion elements. Yeah, so as I was making dress patterns this year, even the vintage ones were all go out and buy bias tape, go out and buy this, go out and buy that, make a facing, and buy an overlocker, and, do all your hems by machine. And I just found it a bit relentless. I think because I've just been making jackets, and I think there's, with people who own companies, there's the idea and marketing it's mainly, sewing is women and they like to buy stuff, whereas tailoring is men and they're no nonsense and they don't like to buy stuff, so don't waste money advertising towards them. So, yeah, I know that's a gross generalization, but I just found it a bit unrelenting. And also, I just don't like wearing dresses that have facing, and I don't like bias binding. So I think I'll just do me. Like, obviously, it does take a lot more time to do a hem by hand, but I'm just going to wear it so much more if it's done like it would have been made in the 1930s or something. Or even when the pattern suggests that you do it a certain way, I'm just going to do it fully lined instead, and do it my way and not feel pressured to follow the instructions as they are fully, if you get what I mean. So yeah, that is my make 9, and hopefully I can, well, as I said, the original intention is to just sort of work out what your focus is going to be in the next year and sort of keep that in mind, and sort of each month or so just sort of look at the list again and make sure that if that's still your focus, that those are the things you're focusing on. So let me know what your make 9 focus points or patterns or fabrics are for this year, and whether you've had any luck sticking to them in the past. And thank you for watching, and I'm going to go and make my next vintage dress now.